Hello and welcome to another episode of the Landscaper Growth Show. My name is Mark Lamberth. I'm your host. Today I'm speaking with Jeremy Cahill at Grassroots Landscaping Company in Phoenix. Jeremy, thanks so much for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mark.
Yeah, man. So we've been having a great conversation here before the show, and just getting a sense of who you are. I get the sense you've got an amazing business running here, just from the chat we've had so far, and just the kind of like awareness that you're bringing to it. I'd love to start just by hearing what services you provide for your customers there in Phoenix.
Yeah, so we are a one-stop shop landscape company, so full service. We offer everything but routine maintenance. And I own a couple landscaping companies, but this particular entity, Grassroots Landscape Co., here in Arizona, is a statewide design install company. I built it as like a brand and something that wasn't based on me. And so our goal is to enhance clientele's outdoor spaces. We really just focus on finding out what the root of their problem is and addressing that. And my goal as the owner and lead designer, is to really just build rapport with our clientele. And I always look at things from like, if it was my money in my yard, what would I do in this situation, and ask questions to find out like how can I be of service. So we do, small jobs for, the average Joe up to like, the head of the Mayo Clinic and, larger upscale projects. But our kind of niche market is just people that want to have a nice yard. It doesn't matter how much money they have. We want to put some stuff in the ground, green it up. I don't know if you're familiar with Phoenix, but it's hotter than the surface of the sun here, and it's growing quick. So it's getting even hotter with all the concrete. So I guess our primary objective is to make some shady spots for people to get out and spend time with their families.
I love it, man. What's the size of your team? How many folks do you have on the crew?
So we have a very small strategic team, and we right now just have myself and one other individual. I typically train and develop my prodigies over the course of like 4 or 5 years. And then with our systemization methodology and industry leading knowledge, we're able to accomplish a lot through the two of us. And then on larger scale projects, we work through other licensed contractors that specialize in hardscape, and our electricians and plumbers, they do that full time. My area of expertise personally is in horticulture and botany. I'm an arborist, and the plants are my wheelhouse. And then for everything that's not in my wheelhouse, we have trained professionals that we are our affiliates that work with us. We found that utilizing people who do a specific service every single day is much better than, being a jack of all trades. So right now, just one, as we build the infrastructure, the standard operating procedures, one of our main focuses is providing a top tier service every time. And I've had, a couple landscaping businesses, and we've been big and we've been small, but the goal with this one is to really nail it every time for our clients. And so that's where we're at. Ask that question again in a year, Mark, you probably get a different answer.
Fantastic. So, man, I really get the opportunity to talk to just really sharp business owners on the show. I learned so much from them. Something we're always encouraging folks that we work with in the green industry is to differentiate themselves in the service that they provide for their customers, right? Whether that be, especially, like kind of faster, better communication, just some way of standing out from the marketplace. Of course, in Phoenix, like in every market, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of landscaping companies. Have you guys focused on? I get the sense I probably know what the answer is here, yes or no. I mean, have you guys focused on this sort of differentiation piece? Have you focused on a unique kind of selling proposition or differentiating yourself from other companies?
Yes, and you kind of touched on something that's like an opportunity area for us is like the speed of communication. That I think that as a small business that's local to the community is our bottleneck at the moment. And so I do my best to get back to people as quickly as possible. But with the massive amount of requests for like service inquiries and being a statewide company, that's something that we could probably learn from, someone like yourself and others in the industry to do better. Because I try to answer the phone myself, to personally go to the estimate myself, and then to be there from start to completion for the project. And it does bottleneck us. And that's why we're booked through 27 and halfway through 28 right now for design jobs. And we have a list of 135 clients that are waiting to get on with us. And so,
wow.
So yeah, dude, like that question was very multifaceted, and the end of the question was, what do we do to differentiate ourselves from these other landscapers? Because here in Phoenix, there's a greater metropolitan area. Chandler, the town that I'm from originally, has over 10,000 landscape companies in just the one city.
Great.
And that's nowhere near as big as Phoenix. So I've had to really work hard to differentiate from the other landscape companies. But I also joke when I meet people, I'm like, one, I show up when I say I'm going to be there. Two, I close the gate and I won't let your dog out. And I speak English. And so like that, those three things give us a leg up on 99% of our competition. And honestly, just doing the right thing every time. It's a challenge because I've lost my tail end on jobs so many times, but like I always do the right thing. And I know if I mess up, if I underbid things, it's a learning opportunity for us as a company. So I think that kind of differentiates me from the other companies. And then I'm actually really passionate about plants and trees, and like I was mentored in the business from my mentor, Abe Hughes, who had a degree from Arizona in botany and a minor in horticulture. He was a master gardener and a lead at like some of the most top tier golf resorts here in Phoenix. And if you know Arizona, we're known for our golf courses. So I guess knowledge and experience is what sets us apart.
Love it. You said something interesting when we started here. You said no routine maintenance. Could you unpack that a little bit? I'd love to hear about that.
Yes. So my first landscape company that I started in middle school was Cahill Landscaping, and we still own it. It's a lead gen source, and I built that from a Buick Century with a corded lawnmower, driving around pulling, the corded weed eater that my father-in-law gave me out, and doing it, acre properties with 17 extension cords. And I built that from nothing to like the number one most trusted landscape company in the East Valley. So anytime you searched landscaping, Chandler, Gilbert, any of the areas that we targeted, we came up number one. And we were primarily routine maintenance. And so I did that for the first, decade. As when I started it, I started the company in middle school, but like in 2012 is when I went full time with it and stopped my other careers. So I got burnt out on maintenance because it's really mundane. It's the same thing over and over again. it's like sustainable, repeatable, and being like an ADHD mind, I want to like delve deep into different things. And so I, in about 2015, I sold the maintenance routes to a great company that was up and coming, who could take care of our clientele, and then really started to dive deep into architectural drafting, design, things that I knew nothing about, but I really like a challenge. So like I'll master a skill and then I'll get tired of it and then start from the bottom and do it all again. I don't know why.
Oh, classic, man. That is awesome. So cool, Jeremy. I'm curious, man. I'd love if you'd be willing to share one big mistake you've made and how you learned from it and how it's kind of evolved the business and helped it grow into what it is today.
That's a great question, Mark. And I think the biggest mistake that I've ever made in this business is client management. And so as you know, an owner and operator, there's a fine line between serving the client and like completing their job in a professional manner. And so when we have a client who tries to micromanage a project that wants things done a really specific way, my biggest mistake has been to allow them to project manage on their job. And it gets us into a situation where you have a homeowner that's not a professional demanding things get done a certain way. And there was a large scale job that cost us about a year's time. And in the end, the client wasn't happy. We weren't happy. Nobody got what they wanted out of the situation. And if I would have just put my foot down and said, hey, this is great feedback. I understand that you don't want to trench and disturb the roots of these trees, but you have a 16 valve system that's PVC, and to retrofit this is going to just delay your project to the point where, it's not going to be worth the damage that would be done to the roots. And so in a nutshell, I allowed that project to pull us away from our best clients that we've had for 15 years now, and like really drain me of my energy and my passion for what I do. So, I would just say that was my biggest mistake in this industry. And then also is communication. When people call, when they text, sometimes when you have a million things going on, it's easier just to not respond and then respond later. But I've learned that instant communication, over communicating, rapid response is like the number one thing that's going to like instill confidence in your client and trust.
Man, solid. Amazing. I've heard folks say, some mentors and things I've learned from, that basically like my success is limited by my ability to have difficult conversations. Right. And so it sounds like there was a difficult conversation that needed to happen with this client. Maybe it went on too long, right, without having a difficult conversation. Look, I understand this is what you want, but the reality is I've got the experience here. I know what's going to happen. We've done this a lot. And, having that discussion and, potentially not working with that client after that, if they don't like that, but moving ahead with just some really clear expectations and, open communication, so that you then are not sort of distracting from the high quality work you're doing from everybody else that's in a great spot. You guys are on the exact same page. Is that kind of the lesson here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I hate to do this to you, but I got to plug this laptop in or else it'll cut our interview short.
No problem.
Sorry, guys. I thought we were going to do this from my iPhone, but just give me 2 seconds, Mark. I do apologize. All right.
Sure. No problem, buddy. Yeah. But so, yeah, I mean, that's the lesson. It's just basically that communication piece where like if you have a difficult conversation to have, you just need to get in there and have it and like get straight with this client. And even if it means that you may lose them and may even lose, I don't know, some other referral business or something from them potentially. Is that kind of what the lesson is here?
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. And sometimes it's much better to know your market and know your client. And sometimes it's, there's just not a good fit. And as soon as you realize that, it's better for everybody that like you just have that difficult conversation. And even if it means like walking away from the project before it's completed, rather than dragging it out when it's really not going the right direction, a clean break, I think, is better for everybody.
Man, that's amazing, man. This is like lessons from the field, hard raw lessons. I love it.
Seems like those are the only lessons we get over here.
Yeah, I get the sense we could probably talk about this all day, huh? There's probably plenty of those we could dig into. Fantastic, sure. Jeremy. Well, I mean, you guys are just super highly rated, right? You guys have got just many, many dozens of 5-star reviews, clearly creating great goodwill in the community. If folks are looking for a great landscaping company to work with in Phoenix, Chandler, what are a couple of good ways to get in touch with you guys?
You can give us a call at 602-430-9535. I'm kind of old school. I'd prefer a phone call over a text, but that number is my cell phone. And then you can also find us on Google, check out those reviews that Mark mentioned. And then it's just Grassroots Landscape Co.com. So Grassroots Landscape Co. If you Google Grassroots, we'll come up for landscaping pretty much statewide. So yeah, please reach out. No project is too small. We're happy to help, and we'd love to, make a difference in the community.
Awesome, Jeremy. Yeah, a lot of great photos of Jeremy's work, Jeremy and the crew's work over at grassrootslandscapeco.com. It's original photography, and just you can really see what they're up to with all the different services that they offer, and just love that original photography on the site. Or give Jeremy a call at 602-430-9535. Fantastic, my man. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and really sharing some just awesome, kind of pretty juicy details about the company, and also just kind of teaching me a couple of things here pre-show, man. I really appreciate you being on today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Mark. And I think it's really amazing what you're doing here, creating this platform. I've had the pleasure of watching, your content and learning from the other contractors who, each of us have our own skill set. And it's really cool to see like what you're doing here in the industry. And, it's a great learning opportunity for me. So I really feel honored that you guys reached out and gave us an opportunity to share a little bit about Grassroots. And I'm going to follow you on YouTube and look forward to seeing where you grow this to. So great job, man.